Welcome if you're new here, welcome back if you've been here before. This is the Pride look that I did on June 22nd. It is now June 23rd and it's a little after 4 in the morning. This face has been on for about 10 hours. Yeah, for about 10 hours. We're going to refresh the lip, which is Future Flex from a Fenty Gloss Bomb. So we're just going to refresh this. And I did refresh it a few times. With eating and drinking, it's going to keep coming off. I'm not wired on Mountain Dew or Skittles, but I'm just kind of in a mood, not good nor bad, just slightly irritated, but not because of you guys. And if you've been here that it does help me just to come and talk to you. And I spoke briefly about wanting to do a video about something that was rolling around in my head, but I wasn't sure like where to fit it in, and also I know I needed to be in a certain frame of mind to do it because it's not happy feel good stuff, but it is reality for a lot of us, meaning I'm not going to say strictly POCs because there's other cultures too who deal with this same thing. So what we're going to talk about is, and you see from the title, were we conditioned to not love ourselves? Were we conditioned to not think that we were not good enough based on looks? Were we conditioned to think I can't be who I am? Did we grow up and spend some of our adult years not knowing who we were because we were constantly trying to be whoever the person we were with or the group of people we knew, trying to be who we thought they wanted us to be? And so I was thinking about, as y'all know I do sometimes, and my mind can be a scary place. I do have a doctorate degree in psychology if you're new here, and so I do think deep about a lot of things that other people are like, what are you talking about? But hear me out. And so again, this isn't strictly for any particular culture. And if I say we, it's not about me, Black people as a whole. I do not speak for all Black people. And some of this can be generalized. I know that in other countries, there's still a discrepancy and there's still colorism. And I saw on YouTube, there was a documentary about just how it is here with color ranges for foundations and for certain, what's the word I'm looking for certain ethnic groups. They do have a wide range of complexions, just like POCs. Where I live is 70% Indian. They range from fair to deep dark. Like they run the gamut just like POCs do. But in India, their color range is very much on the light side, as some brands here in the United States is. And so when I say we, I'm not speaking just for any particular culture. I'm just saying we in a general sense. And so please understand that. So I'm not saying everybody, every Black person, every person of color. We is just a general term. And if it fits, it fits. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And so I hope that that makes sense. And so I have out 10 bullet points. We might not get to them all because I want to take my time and make sure that what I'm saying is coming across the way I want it to be heard or would like for it to be heard. This is not to argue. Your comments are always welcome. Just be respectful. If you're listening to this and you're thinking, I do curse on my channel sometimes if you're new, just so you know that. If you're listening to me and you think, this bitch is just crazy, she full of shit, that's fine. Just exit out and don't watch it. There's no need to leave rude comments. If you have not experienced, the things I'm talking about, that's okay. From my point of view and where I grew up and the people I know, we have similar experiences. And so again, this is not me talking about every person. And I do think it would be enlightening to hear some of these things, even if you have not experienced them, to give you insight into someone else's life. You know what I mean? I'm going to share a story very quickly. And I actually shared it earlier with someone at the Playhouse. One of my previous partners, he was Caucasian. He called himself an English mutt because he was mixed with like different things, as am I. But most of mine is on the African side and his was mostly English side. But so I am like very mixed up DNA wise, and so is he. And we had went into a Sephora. We were in Maryland somewhere in a Sephora inside of a JCPenney's, and there was a makeup brush on sale on clearance. And I'm like, oh, and it was a Sephora brand brush. And I'm like, oh, this is nice. And so I purchased the brush, and the cashier said, she said, I'm really sorry we don't have any small bags. And I said, I'll take a big bag. And she just looked at me. I said, yeah, I'll take a big bag. The bag was huge, and the brush was, a little tiny brush. And so, I paid for it, and it was only like $15 or something like that. So it was this little brush and this big bag. And as we're walking out the store, and I did have a receipt, that I had put it in the bag. And as him and I were walking out of the store, I had made the comment, I said, I'm not getting stopped by security over a $15 makeup brush, not having it in the bag. And he didn't say anything. And so, we walked to the car, and when we were just about to the vehicle, he says, I'm very aware of my white privilege right now. And I went, really? Why? And he said, I would have never thought twice about paying for something and just carrying it out the store without a bag. And I was like, yeah. And that's all I said. And so he was quiet most of the way back to where we were going. And he did bring it up again later, and we talked about it for maybe an hour. And so that was eye-opening for him, a glimpse into my world. Just me saying, I'm not getting stopped at the door over a $15 brush with no bag. And so this is what I'm talking about. So hearing someone else's stories or hearing someone else's reality, it may just be enlightening to you. And when certain things happen, it may cause you to have some empathy for other ethnic groups. And so, and again, everybody in any one group does not have these experiences, but I just wanted to really talk about it. And for the most part, it does talk about, I am going to talk about makeup stuff, but it is about, are we conditioned to think a certain way about ourselves because of society? And sadly, it starts from our childhood. When I was growing up, what I saw on TV, like there was no one that looked like me on TV. It wasn't. And it was nationwide. It was across the world. It's like, who do you see? I remember like Gilligan's Island. You had, Ginger. You had Marianne, the hourglass figure. And then you had the older lady. And so there was a standard. Excuse me. Even if you think about Barbie dolls back then, there were no black Barbie dolls. And they all had this perfect, in quotes, figure. And, certain features that every single doll had. And that was the standard of what society thought beauty was. And, now they have Barbies of all ethnic groups and different clothing and different styles, which is friggin' awesome. But I'm 54. So growing up, I was born in December 69. So growing up in the 70s and in the early 80s, I didn't see anything that represented me. And even when I would receive gifts for my birthday, dolls and toys for Christmas or whatever. It was all whitewashed. It didn't represent me or my environment or my neighborhood at all. But that's what it was. And so when I talk about were we conditioned to not love ourselves for how we look or think that we're enough, it's because everything that was shown to us, everything that we watched, everything that we consumed, the movies that we saw, the toys that we played with, the TV shows, that was the standard of beauty. And so we grow up wanting to make these changes or wanting to alter how we look. And even though the concept of the crazy troll nation, wear what you want to, embrace your natural features, if you want a handsome, fine, but don't feel like you have to, that didn't stem, I didn't think that stemmed from learned behavior. That motto came from what I saw here on YouTube in my journey, hearing you must do this, you must do that. And I'm like, no. Like my nose is fine. I have a wide nose. It's half the size of my dad's. His is huge. Oh, you know what? This is for my glasses. I just now having to look at myself because I did. Oh, there ain't no foundation right there at all. Wow. I just noticed that for real. I would have fixed it before the video, but we're not because, hey, this face has been on for 10 hours. I had my glasses on. We hit 100 degrees in Delaware today. Let me get back to the video. So his nose is twice as big as mine. And he would look at me, my dad, and he would just say, baby girl, I'm so sorry. And he would look dead ass serious. Baby girl, I'm so sorry. And I would be like, what are you talking about? He was like, you got my nose. I'm like, my dad is a funny dude. And so I would just laugh. And so I've never felt the urge to even contour my nose. Like, it is what it is. You know, my lips are full-ish. I've seen some with fuller. My lip line is crooked. This side is, you know, fuller than this side. I don't try to fix that. And so it's like, you know, my eyes are asymmetrical. I don't try to like perfect, you know, my eyeshadow to make it look the same. I don't overline my top lips, you know, cheekbones, whatever. I got a puffy face, all the chiseling, the bacon, all of that. But we're going to get to that. But it goes to why do we feel like we need to do that? Those of us who do feel like we need to do that. Oh, I was watching you know, these YouTubers and, you know, they're all contouring their nose. Why? And why do you feel like you need to do it because they do it? The standard of beauty was set by society way back. We're not, you know, when I think of the movie like the Stepford Wives, everybody dressed, well, after they were like brainwashed or whatever, they all had the same hairstyle, they wore the same type of dress, they behaved the same, they cooked the same types of meals. And it's like, we're not that, we're individuals. And so I really just want us to think about, if you really in your soul believe that you're not enough, or that is something wrong with how you look, or you need to fix something with your looks, I want you to think about, why do you feel that way? And to unlearn that learned behavior, because we were taught that from what we saw. And even when I mentioned India earlier, if I could find that video, I'll link it below. There's like 5 shades of foundation. I don't know what brand it is. And they were like, this is still a problem over there. And also, if you Google, you know, skin bleaching in other countries, you know, they were doing skin bleaching in some African countries and over in India, because that's what they were seeing on TV. White shows, white movies, white actors, white actresses. So even though they didn't look anything like that, they were trying to get their skin to look like that, because somewhere inside they started to believe that was the standard of beauty, is being white. I remember as a kid, and my hair was down in here. That's another thing, the hair community. And so, where was I going with that? Where was I going with that, talking about hair? There's this whole thing about, you know, what to do with your hair, how to wear your hair, how to style your hair, what to do. And it's just like, why? If that's not how it is, why do we feel like it has to be different? Because that's what we saw. When you think about, what were we seeing on TV back in, you know, the 60s and the 70s? It was all the same type of stuff. So let's get into this. So I will say also, I'm glad I wrote down some TV shows that were game changers for other communities and other populations. And one of them was Good Times. And I was watching something about Esther Roll on YouTube, and they were saying how she insisted that there be a working husband in the house, because they wanted to do Good Times with her as a single mother. And she said no. And she was adamant. She's like, it will not be a show. There will be a husband, and he will be a working father. That's how that happened. And I commend her for that, because unfortunately, where I grew up, it was mostly single moms. And so they were going to do a movie like that. And yes, it was based on reality in some places. There were some homes who did have working fathers in the homes. And so she was adamant about, if I'm going to do this role, there's going to be a husband in this household. And, you know, I think about the Jeffersons. Okay, we're moving on up to the east side. You know, we're doing better and we have a little bit of money. So that was really cool, too. So as time went on, you know, my teenage years, these shows did start to come out. And Sanford and Son, oh my gosh, someone told me her partner is a different ethnicity than she is. She's a person of color. And, you know, she grew up on Sanford and Son, and I did too. So she told him he's going to watch Sanford and Son. He's going to be, you know, introduced to stuff that, you know, she watched when she was growing up. And I said, you know what, that's a good idea. I'm going to rewatch it. I think I only got through like 2 shows. That Sanford and Son, Lamont was so disrespectful to his dad, and the way the dad talked to the son and the way the aunt talked to the dad. I lasted like 2 episodes. I'm like, how did I even think this was okay back then to watch this, to see how disrespectful the son was, even though he was grown, how disrespectful he was to his father. And for the father to just, I was just like, this is not it. So even seeing that, like back then as a kid, you know, I thought it was funny and ha ha ha, but looking back on it as an adult, that was fucked up. And I'm just like, that is not how you treat people. Like that whole series, like that's not how you talk to your elders. That's not how you talk to your parents. But yet it was, and it was a show for seasons and seasons. And so even that was really convoluted. And he owned a junkyard. So I'm like, okay, this old black man owns a junkyard. It's just like, so what's going on with that? And then we had, you know, different strokes, which even back then as a kid, I'm like, take this how you want to take it. I'm not bashing anybody or anything. I'm just saying what I'm saying to help you just kind of see things a little different. Even as a kid, when I watch Different Strokes, I'm like, okay, here comes this white guy, this white rich guy, adopting 2 poor little black kids. Like, okay, we're black people, we need a savior, and it's a white one. So I'm like, weren't there any black people with money that could have adopted these 2 little black boys? But then there wouldn't have been that show. And so, and I do appreciate how it showed a black family a white family taking in black kids, and everybody got along and all of that. But it's like, do we need like somebody else to save our people? Meaning black people? But it was a good show. But it's just different things. Even as a kid, I've always thought weird, as you can tell. So even growing up, like as an adolescent, I was just kind of like, why is that way? And why are they showing us this? Like this was in somebody's head. They wrote up the script for the TV series. You know what I mean? And so it was just like, in Different World. Oh, the Huxtables, that came out, which was really cool because dad was a doctor and mom was an attorney. That was fucking amazing because where I grew up, my mom was a nurse, but my dad was in the army, so he was away all the time. So seeing a household, a 2-parent household, both parents very successful, and their kids going to good schools and things, that was instrumental because it's like, that can happen. I don't know anybody in my personal life that that's happened to. So it gave a glimmer of hope. It gave a different perspective on what could be. And everything isn't like how my world is right here growing up in the inner city. You see what I'm saying? And so that show, it was really like, wow, like this is what we need to see to give us hope and not always be like, okay, we're just broke and we're poor and we need some white person to come and save us out of our troubles. Or, you know, somebody in our family owns a junkyard and we talk to each other like trash. And so it was just, so that show, The Huxtables and Good Times, I give a lot of credit to because it did show us that things did not have to be as they were in my personal world and in other people's personal world growing up in inner city. And A Different World came out, primarily black kids in college. That was new. You know what I mean? In college, and their day-to-day whatever they did in college. And so that was really encouraging too. Like, wow, we can go to school. Like, yeah, we're smart. Yeah, we're smart, damn it. And so I'm just, you know, and I just wrote these shows down when I sat here to do this video, because I didn't have anything on here about TV shows, but I wanted to just talk about things that, what they were, like in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s, and then the 70s come along, we're still seeing shows from the 50s and 60s, and then we get these shows, Good Times, The Jeffersons, Sanford and Son, Different Strokes, The Huxtables, you know, Different World, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, you know, those types of shows. And so that was the turning of a tide for me when I look back, where the shift wasn't, this is the standard of beauty, this is how we live, this is what you need to aspire to, versus this is what can happen for you without being over here. You know what I'm saying? And so I when I look back, I see the importance of those shows. And if you're so inclined, look up those shows. If I don't know if they're on Hulu or Netflix or whatever, I'm sure there might be some episodes on YouTube. The one that played the daughter in Good Times, I forget her real name, but she has a YouTube channel. And so she talks about some stuff from the movies and then some other stuff. And I forget what her name is. But if you're so inclined, like just look up, Google Good Times, The Jeffersons, Sanford and Son, Different Strokes, The Huxtables. I forget what the name of that TV series was, but the last name of the family was Huxtables, and Different World, and Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and just watch an episode or two, just so you can see, because we know what the stuff was in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, the Stepford Wives type look. We know that. Wear your pretty little dresses and your high heel shoes all day long while the husband's at work. So why are you dressed up all day long? I don't know. And then you're cooking dinner in your good clothes. And I'm like, what? You could just dress up an hour before you get off work. But anyway, it was TV, so we don't know if they were dressed up all day. But there was this standard that was set before us that this is how it was supposed to be. When you, even if it's not said, if you see something, the same types of things all the time, somewhere inside we start to believe this is how it's supposed to be. And so we look in the mirror. I'm looking at me now. I'm like, well, I'm not that. So I need to be like that. Or do something to be more like that than like this. I'm looking at me now, and now I'm looking at you. So I'm looking at this. I'm not that. So I need to change something about me to be something I'm not, which is this, because that's what I'm seeing is the standard. You see what I'm saying? And so I was thinking how we were conditioned, and I don't really want to say self-hate, but I think some people do consider it self-hate. Is it self-hate? Is it self-loathing? Is it conditioning? Is it learned behavior to not just love how we look, not to love how we are, because of what was put before us all of those years and over all these generations? Or is it the same thing? Is self-hate and self-loathing the same thing as being conditioned to not love who we are? You see what I'm saying? And I don't have the answer to that question. I don't know if it's the same thing. But I really felt this was important to talk about, because even today, there's still just so many discrepancies among different peoples. And even that quick story I told about, I'm not going to get stopped at security for a $15 hairbrush without a bag. That triggered a thought in him. When he said that, I haven't been really, what did I say he said? I'm very aware of my white privilege right now. And I looked at him like, huh? Like, why you say that? So you never know, like, what you may say that because that was my truth. Getting stopped at the door, or I'm somewhere in the store. And there were times when I was younger, and even in my 30s, I'm walking through Dress Barn, and everywhere I look, it seemed like the same workers following me. Like, she might be near where the cashier is up front folding up clothes. I come in, all of a sudden now she's over here like two racks over, straightening up clothes on a rack. And when I move over here, I look over, and now she's a little closer to me. So I'm like, is this bitch following me around the damn store? And that's happened a lot. And I'm just like, they're really looking. Or even leaving a store, like walking toward checkout, security might be over there somewhere. The closer I get to the door, the closer they get to me before I get to leave the store. And I'm just like, are they like tracking my movements to leave? Like, I know I paid for this stuff. Like, but I'm telling you, y'all, this stuff happened to me growing up. It happened to me as a full-grown adult, and it still happens sometimes now. And I appreciate when I go into a store and they say, oh, do you need any help? I'm like, no, I'm okay. I'm just browsing. They say, okay, let me know if you need any help. And then they walk away and leave me alone. Thank you for that. Because I'm not here to steal something just because I'm black. And I know it's not only black people. Where I grew up, there were also Hispanics. There were Caucasian people not well off, I grew up in the inner city. So if you're well off, you're not living in the inner city. So it wasn't just me. So it was more economical and more about classism than race, I dare to say. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to say it's all about race, but classism too, because that determines where you grow up, where you live. And so there's this idea that everybody that comes from this place, they're whatever. You know what I mean? And so, is that really how it is? I don't have an answer, because I just know where I was and growing up, the situations that, I was in, when I'm just like, this motherfucker really following me? Like, what the hell? And so, are we conditioned by makeup artist videos who say what we should do, what we shouldn't do. And to this day, there are channels that say that. This is what you need to do if you want this perfect, flawless face. Who says your face isn't flawless when you wake up in the morning? Just the way it is. This is how you do a perfect contour of your nose. Who says my nose isn't perfect? But we're conditioned because that's what we hear. And what pisses me off is when I see content creators that look like me, who are even darker than me, and they're doing all the things. And y'all know I've talked about nose contour before. Who said your nose needs to look like it's pinched like this? Like, who said that? And so when I see people with a nose like mine, and they're brown skin like me, or even darker than me, and they're doing this contouring, I'm like, who told you that's how you were supposed to look? Who says you gotta be all snatched? Who said that? Who did you let convince you that that's what you needed to do? You can see the natural hollows in my cheek. Who said they gotta be? Who did you let convince you of that? Who convinced you that this isn't okay? I don't like it, but hey, it's there. You know what I'm saying? Who? So we have to unlearn that and just say, you know, I don't think this is cute, but it's part of me. So I love it because I love myself. You know what I'm saying? And I really want us to, you know, I always say that I hope, you know, my intro resonates with you. And I really hope it does, because there's still so many people, and I hate it. And I don't say hate a lot. Like, I don't be like, oh, this eyeshadow is this, but I ain't mad at it. Oh, well, this didn't come with a brush, but I don't hate it. To me, that's nothing. That's makeup stuff. When it comes to person and stuff, people seem to believe they need to change their features. That I hate. And when I say hate, I don't say hate in a trivial way. Like, oh, I'm not mad at it, or, you know, I don't hate it that the packaging is whatever. Because that's trivial. It's makeup, it's a box, whatever. But when it comes to beliefs and believing that you're not enough, or you don't fit the standard, so you're trying to make yourself fit the standard with something that washes off, and so you're back to who you were when you woke up, I hate that. I seriously freaking hate it. And so I just want us to just love who we are. And so when I see these videos, oh, you must use this. This is the perfect, you know, foundation application. This is the I mean, yeah, we want stuff blended, but who's to say it's not perfect? Because you can still see my bags or my wrinkles. I have bags, I have wrinkles. You know what I'm saying? Who's to say I have a puffy face? Who's to say I should chisel, bake, contour? Who? Who did you let convince you that you had to change your features for their standard? Who? Unlearn that. Love yourself for who you are and for how you look, even without face paint on. That's what we do here at the Crazy Troll Nation. I may be preaching to the choir, as they say, but if anybody new is watching this, think about it. Think about these things. And even if this doesn't fit your reality, hear it as, wow, like, that is true. Like, that was what we were always shown. But if that's where you already are, like how he wouldn't have thought twice of just paying for something and carrying it out the store in his hand, just the acknowledgement that other people have other realities than that, or they had other realities than that. And to be empathetic when you hear stories about certain things that happen, and not just blowing it off like, oh wow, whatever. No, sometimes the system is just fucked up. It's not always, oh, well, that person, you know, whatever. And that's why there's uproars when some of these legal things happen, or, you know, the police bust in and shoot somebody, and it's like, oh, it was the wrong house. It's like, oh, well, you know, they shouldn't have been there anymore. I'm not even going to get into that. But that's why these types of situations that I'm talking about are why there's an uproar when certain things happen politically and from law enforcement. Because it goes back to, is this what you really think about these people? So let's move on. Every year or so, there's a magazine article or a book a magazine that comes out, America's Most Beautiful People. When I was growing up, none of them was brown skin. Not a one. I haven't looked at those magazines in the last maybe 10 years, because usually they used to be at the checkout at the grocery store, and I would just glance at it and be like, ain't nobody that look like me in there, I ain't buying it. But there we go again, though, with the concept of this is what beauty is. It wasn't people like me with my features. It was a standard set by other people on what they consider to be beautiful, what they consider to be acceptable. And if you fit into that, you might be like, what is Dion talking about? Talking about people like me looking at that, and those are the most beautiful people. None of them look nothing like us. Us in general that are not like that. You know what I'm saying? And it's really sad, as I was saying, even in other countries with the skin bleaching, because that's what they see on TV. That's what they see on TV. They don't see anybody really that looks like them on TV. You have African nations skin bleaching. Everybody around them, their communities, where they work, everybody brown skin. But then they're bleaching their skin because of what they see on TV. That is sad. That is sad. And even here in the United States, skin bleaching. Like, what's wrong with your complexion? Nothing is wrong with your complexion. I think we're going to do maybe 2 more, and then we're going to pick up part 2 because we're already at 30 minutes. We talked about noses. And what I appreciate is some of you who watch my channel, you also do videos, and y'all be embracing y'all features. There's no contouring, there's no changing features, there's no catfishing people, and I fucking love it. I do. Love yourself. Love your features. And so when I watch your videos, I'm just like, yes. Yes. We talked about the cheekbones. You know, you had to chisel this. This is how you do the perfect contour. Who said you need to do that anyway? And also marketing, because if they got codes, you're going to run out and buy this stuff because they told you need to have it because, yeah, you want to be perfect. Let me tell you something. Your imperfections are what makes you perfect. You're unique. Own it. Be different and be proud to be different. Excuse me. Don't let people convince you or continue to convince you that you need to be something other than you are. Unlearn that behavior and learn to just love who you are. And I feel like a broken record right now, but I just want y'all to just look in the mirror and really love what you see. Love what you see regardless of what's shown to you out there or in magazines, on TV or whatever. And full lips. Oh my gosh, Jasmine, the buffet witch. She has some of the most full lips I've seen, and she can rock any color lipstick, y'all. I swear. It could be a pale blue. She can do the concealer lip look. It looks bomb on her. I got her wearing black lipstick. That looks bomb on her. She's done some videos where she does different lipstick swatches. She can rock any friggin' lipstick color. And I look at her and I'm like, damn, her lips are pretty. And then I'm looking at mine like, I like mine too. Because it goes back to just loving your features, right? But I'm just like, just own it. Because some people I've seen that do have full lips, they do their makeup in a way, or their lip liner and their lip color in a way to make their lips look smaller. But then what's ironic is that companies have been making lip plumpers. So, okay, you have full lips, but you're making them look thinner. But then if you have thin lips, you're overlining and using plumpers to make them look bigger. Make it make sense. There's skin bleaching products for brown people, but then there's tanning products for light people. Make it make sense. So what really is the standard of beauty these days? Think about it. Make it make sense. So the same people who are propagating you need to look a certain way are making products for you to look like that and for them to look like you. Think about it. Think about that. I want to talk, oh my gosh, do I want to talk about hair in this video? I'm not going to talk about hair in this video. We're going to pick that up in the next video, because we're at like 35 minutes, because I got some stuff to say. And so comment below what your thoughts are. If this gave you something to think about, if this triggered you in any way, I should have put a trigger warning. I'll write trigger warning in the title somewhere, because this may trigger somebody. Because some of this stuff, y'all, or even being followed around in the store, that store can be traumatizing sometimes. Because for me to be 54 and I walk into a store and I'm looking to see who following me, y'all still do that? Not y'all, but to me, I'm like, why am I still like paranoid? Like, I know I didn't steal anything. I just walked in the store. I didn't even get to touch anything yet. But it's just, and I'm laughing not because it's funny. I'm laughing because it's ridiculous, because I'm talking about unlearning those behaviors. And here I am, sometimes certain stores I go in, I'm paranoid that I'm going to be followed in the store, because that was in my history and even into my 30s. You see what I'm saying? And so it's a process to unlearn certain things. And so I just want to encourage you to just think about, why do we feel the way we do about ourselves as people, period? People in general. Whatever it is about you that you think is not good enough, whatever it is about you that you want to change or that you want to alter, even with makeup, think about why. Why? Who did you let convince you? And I say it that way because no one can make us do anything. No one can make us feel anything. We have to take that in for ourselves. Just because somebody shows you something doesn't mean you be like, yeah, you're right. No, we have to accept that. So that's why I'm saying it that way. Think about who or what you let convince you that you are not enough. And you challenge that by looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, I am enough. I'm beautiful the way I am. I just woke up, my breath probably stink, but that's okay. I'm gonna fix it in a minute. I'm gonna brush my teeth and do some mouthwash. It'll be fine. But to really look at yourself and be like, damn, you're gorgeous. And really believe it, because you are. You are. I say we're trolls on this channel. A troll is a good thing. Just loving yourself and just rocking it and knowing that you are amazing. They could say what they want. They could say I'm a troll because we don't do what they say do. We don't do this or do that. We'll be a troll, damn it, because we fine as hell. We look good, we're gorgeous, and we're beautiful. Not to the point of being shallow, because I also really hate, one of the first things people will say about someone is, oh, she's so pretty. Oh, he's so handsome. They can have the ugliest hearts ever. They can have the worst personality ever. They can have the most horrible morals. They can lack ethical standards, ethical codes that they live by. But the first thing out somebody's mouth is, oh, she's hot. Or, oh, he's handsome. You don't know who they are inside. So think about that too. Because that's usually the first, sometimes the second. Oh yeah, she's smart and she pretty. Oh what, only smart people are pretty? Or smart people are ugly? Like what? Like, huh? Think about that too. Don't let, oh, they're pretty be the first thing out of your mouth or the second thing. What about their character? What about their morals? You know what I'm saying? What about how they treat other people? You know what I'm saying? And that wasn't in my notes. But I just think it's really shallow. Oh, he's so handsome. You don't know who he is inside. We're more than what we look like. And so when you look at yourself and you're looking in the mirror in the morning when you just wake up, look at yourself and say, you are an amazing person. You are beautiful inside and outside. I know I just said the whole thing about beauty and all of that. But on the inside, know that you're amazing. And on the outside, still call yourself beautiful. Love how you look. Love how you look and own it. And know that you are the best that you can be while you're continuing to work on being better for yourself, not for anybody else. So we're going to end this here. That really was not in my notes. I don't know where that came from. But we're going to pick up part 2. I don't know how many parts this is going to be. Leave below your comments. If you did not care for anything I said, or if you want to argue, or if you want to be rude, just don't. Please, just don't. Because I will delete your comment. Because this is not about back and forth or, you know, whatever. It's not about that. I'm just hoping to help those of you who don't have these experiences to just know that it is someone's reality somewhere. And to have empathy when certain things happen. to people that you may not be like, well, why, what, huh? Just have some empathy for it, because there's a reason where we are today. That didn't make sense. There's a reason why the situations today are happening. It was long coming. Nothing just happens just out of the blue. There's a pattern and a trail of stuff that happens before something really fucked up happens. So we need to look back and see, how did we even get here where this is acceptable when deep down we know it's not. There's a process. And so just hoping to help you think about these things. And if you have had these experiences, or if you're thinking you're not enough, unlearn that and know that you are the bomb. Love yourself inside and out, just because you're you. You're perfect the way you are. On that note, self-acceptance and self-love, that is the Crazy Troll Nation way. Thank you, and hang tight. Subscribe, click your notification bells so that you will not miss part 2 and however many parts we need. Thank you so much for being here and listening to my TED Talk. Comments are welcome. Let me know your thoughts. Just keep it respectful, please, because this is not the place. We're not arguing. This is not a drama channel. None of that. But I just want all of you to love yourselves for who you are, while also having empathy for people who may have had different experiences than you. That's all. That's all this is about. And, to help us love ourselves, and even to love ourselves even more. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what we're about here at the Crazy Troll Nation. So we're going to go. You will see me soon.